Jory, you there? Hey guys, that Mr. Goodman, the time teller, is still having a couple of technical issues, but I didn't want to leave you guys alone. As much as I don't like live streaming alone.
What's going
there
on?
he is. Hey man, I wanted to start the party without you because I didn't want to leave our humble viewers by themselves.
I don't know what was going on in two of my computers. It said the camera was not detected, and so I ran into my car to get my headphones so I could stream from my iPhone.
Dude, that is commitment right there.
Well, I did not want to leave you hanging. I apologize.
Dude, now I'm having technical problems because I can't find the window I'm technically live streaming from. So this is awful. Oh, there it is. All right. So, Jory, let me get this started. First off, guys, let me apologize. I scheduled the live stream a couple of days ago. I erroneously put the date as yesterday, so I'm sure a few of you waited around. I really apologize. My dyslexia got the best of me. But here we are today. I'm joined by the time teller. If you guys don't know who he is, link in the description below. Go subscribe to his channel, the funniest watch guy on YouTube. And today we're going to talk about, watches that we don't think are worth the money or that we are underwhelmed with. So welcome, Jory.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much for having me on your channel. And again, I apologize to all of Federico's viewers that this was kind of disjointed, the incorrect scheduling, and then my mishap. So, but we are here, and I think this is an interesting topic, so I think we should have this conversation.
Absolutely. First of all, let me ask you this, man. You're sitting in a 370Z in the middle of California. Do you at least have the air conditioning on?
I have the air on right now, yeah. Or else I would be dying because it is, I don't know what, it's like in the 90s right now still. It's 86, okay, not quite 90s. Yeah, it's hot.
All right. So, watches that we're underwhelmed with or watches that we don't think are worth the money, there's always going to be this disclosure. Guys, this is based on opinion, mine and the time teller's opinion. This is not fact. If you own one of these watches, hey, listen, just because I don't like it doesn't mean it's not a good watch. We will agree to disagree on that one. That's what makes this hobby beautiful. Right, Jory?
Right. I think people have very different spending habits. I think people, what is of value to us may not be of value to you, and that's perfectly fine. I could see this definitely becoming a touchy subject, but I don't think it has to be.
A little bit, but here's the thing. If we're not willing to give our honest opinions, which you always do, and I certainly always do, what's the point of watching us, right?
Exactly.
All right. So, Jory, do you want me to lead it off, or do you want to start?
I can start because I think the first one I'll bring up is one that both of us, it's on both of our lists. And I think I think we could start off with the Patek Aquanaut.
Oh man, yeah, we've mentioned this before, but go right ahead.
Well, I think it's marketed as obviously their sportiest sport watch, right? It's not quite the Nautilus by any means, but it's marketed as a sports watch. It's quite a bit more attainable than a Nautilus, but it's somehow not as durable and not even as usable. So it's kind of like, I hate the term a poor man's Nautilus because it's definitely not an inexpensive watch, but it's almost like you're not quite there, but it's still more expensive than it should be, and you should have just saved your money, in my opinion.
Well, listen, here's the thing. I remember when I was starting in retail, right? So we're talking like 2008, 2009, 5711s were still pretty damn hard to get. I mean, I'll put it this way. The store still sold 6 or 7 a year, so they weren't impossible, but they were still pretty hard to get. And the Aquanauts sold okay. They weren't dogs, but, they were usually in the display case. Like, there was no crazy, quote-unquote, wait list. In my opinion, the Aquanaut, which is not a durable watch, which is not as well finished as a Nautilus, and not as iconic as a Nautilus, is only super hot right now because it's bought by people who can't find or afford a Nautilus. And I'm not saying
Right.
it's an awful watch, but the fact that the Nautilus has become like so iconic and crazy has artificially propped up the Aquanaut, in my opinion.
Right. It's piggybacking off of the current fame of the Nautilus.
Yeah, absolutely. And to me, that's just not like a $25,000 watch. It just or plus. It just isn't.
Yeah. No, I would agree. I would agree absolutely.
Not to say it's not nice. I mean, if someone wants to give me an Aquanaut, I will absolutely wear one, but not spending my own money. Well, Jory, the one I was going to lead off with was a Patek as well, but I'm going to do that one next so we can have a little variety. And this one is going to cause a shit show, in my opinion, because I know a lot of guys watching probably own it. And that is a Longines. Well, it's two Longines. I like Longines, but there's the flagship line, which very few people know what it is because it's predominantly sold to Asians. And it's like their entry-level automatic line. But if you guys want something that's a little bit more familiar, there's the Longines Hydro Conquest.
Oh, right, yes.
Now, this is Longines entry-level diver. It's like $1,100 or $1,200 at a 28-24, good water resistance, aluminum bezel. Listen, it's not a bad watch. It really isn't. It's just, to me, when I feel that bracelet, that stamped old-school clasp, that medium-grade 28-24, that aluminum bezel, to me, it's like, if this said made in Japan, this would be $300.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. I think it is a good watch. It's just it's 1,100 or whatever it is. It is that price because it's quote unquote got that Swiss made stamp, and I just don't think the value is heavy with this one.
Yeah, I don't think any Longines should be above the $1,000 mark, personally.
Oh, be careful though, dude. What about the Master Collection?
Master Collection's good, and they have a lot of cool. Their heritage pieces are really cool, but they're few and far between. I'm very, very picky with them. I think they make really decent watches, but I think a lot of people spend too much money on them. So,
especially at full retail. And True Liberty says it has ceramic now. Well, True Liberty, I didn't know that. So if it has ceramic and if the price is the same, I guess that makes it a little bit better. But I just remember at the time holding it while I was working at Wempe and Tourneau, and I was like, I was just really underwhelmed. You know what I mean?
right.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's a great entry-level Swiss watch. I mean, 28-24, you can't complain. It's just it didn't feel substantial to me. I guess that's my opinion.
It didn't feel over $1,000 good.
Exactly, like the Oris 65. Emir Weiss says the Oris 65. See, that to me feels like great value, because like that I would spend over $1,000 on, even though you don't have to, because it's got flair and the design, and I think it's well made. The Longines is just vanilla to me.
No, the Longines also doesn't feel nearly as solid as the Oris, though.
Yeah. Steve Bowden, Heritage 1945. There's one on Fed Shop right now. Yes, there is, Steve. If you want one, there it is. It is brand new. And then Jason Reeves says, Panerai Dua. Jason, don't get me started, or we're going to have to do a whole new video on my hatred of the Panerai Dua. But Jory, I think it's your turn, brother.
Okay, this is going to be kind of a wild card for me, because it's a company that I honestly don't think. Okay, we're going by sales, and you who works and worked heavily in retail, you can agree with me. This is a company that's near and dear to my heart. This is a company that I love. I've said it multiple times. I think they make some of the most elegant, beautiful watches, but from a retail standpoint, they're not worth what you pay, and they hold value terribly. Fed, you might already know which company I'm talking about, but Cartier. I have Cartier Tank, and I love it. It's one of my favorite dress watches. Beautiful, and their designs are are so elegant and classic and well done, but they tank. They tank. No pun intended. The Cartier tanks.
Well, they do. I'll tell you this, man. On the upper end, Cartiers feel great. I mean, I used to actually work for Cartier. I think their medium and high end pieces are fantastic. It's their lower end stuff, like the Solo and the Cruise. That's the stuff that disappoints, I think.
But it's not even from it's not even a disappointing from the perspective of the product you're receiving. It's incredibly disheartening when you look at the price you pay, right? I remember, now the name escapes me, when they introduced like a year or two ago the Tank American, and it was long and
The steel one.
Yeah, and well, they had it in rose gold, I think, and I think they were going to release it in white, but it was the long, slim one.
Yeah, the Tank American. You nailed it.
Right. So I went to one of the boutiques, and I saw it. I wanted to wear it and see what it was like. I forgot the retail price, but it was enormously high. And then I went online like a year later, and looked at them, and it was like half, like cut in half. I was just like, dude, if you pay retail for one of those, you're going to be kicking yourself.
Yeah, but they're also like it's not a particular popular reference. I mean, I'm not saying Cartier holds value well, but go try and find a ladies' ball in blue. I mean, that holds pretty strong.
Yeah, but that's also one of the highest tiers they offer.
Yeah, that's also true. I mean, Cartier is a brand that Jory, I'm with you. I'm in love with them.
I love them.
But
I love them.
Unfortunately, like Panerai, they've been disappointing me lately, and I really don't want to be disappointed because I really love them.
Right.
All right. So I'm going to mention my Patek rather, and that is the entry level Patek Philippe Calatrava, the manual wind versions, like the 5119. Guys, it's the two manual wind Patek Philippe Calatravas. Jory, these things are like 24, 25 grand plus.
Easily.
And when I think that the movement hasn't been updated since the 70s, it doesn't have hacking, there's a minimal amount of gold. Patek Philippe, unlike Lange, finishes their lower end pieces to a slightly lower standard than their higher end pieces. To me, I mean, why don't I just take that 25 grand and go buy a gray market but brand new Lange 1? Or why don't I take 15 grand and buy a new Saxonia? Or 11 grand and buy a used Saxonia Lange? I mean, to me, the value is not there.
Yeah, I would take that money and then add a few more grand and buy an Aichi too.
Well, see, okay, you're a watch geek, and that totally makes sense. But dude, 25 G's, Jory, for a non-hacking,
yeah,
36 millimeter,
for not a lot.
I mean, I'll give it to you. Or I'll give not to you, but I'll give it to the people. I mean, the words Patek Philippe, they're worth something. I mean, I definitely think they're worth something, but to me, I'd almost rather have the words E Languenzona on my watch.
Yeah, that's also because you're a watch geek. Do you know what I mean? Like people that know enough about watches to know that Patek Philippe is Patek Philippe will want the Calatrava, but people that actually know about watches like you would be like, nah, I'd rather have Lange. But
and here's the thing. I mean, not to cut you off, but I can't tell you the amount of times I've lusted after a Calatrava, because I really have. Like, I've thought about it multiple times. I'd love to add a Calatrava, but every time I start seriously thinking of it, it's just not worth it. Not worth it at all.
Right. Now it's very. You mentioned the Hydro Quest being vanilla. The Calatrava is quite vanilla, in my opinion.
It is, but it's vanilla. It's supposed to be. Like, I almost feel like it's supposed to be. I don't know. I just don't. I don't live in the era where I go to like white tie dinners. I kind of wish I did, though.
Right. Right.
Dude, slap me into Downton Abbey, get me a valet, and I'll wear a Calatrava all day long.
Yeah, we'll throw on the tails and the top hat, and you're good to go, man.
Yeah, looking like the Monopoly guy. Let's see some of the guys in the chat.
By the way, I can't see any of the comments right now, guys, so go crazy. I can't read any of them.
Well, if you got anything directed to you, I'll read it out to you.
Awesome.
Jory, here's one that you probably know more about than I do. But Jerry Nichamkin says, "Do we have any thoughts on Monta, the watch brand Monta?"
I think their finishing is really, really good. I think they make really nice bracelets. So the bracelets, the links, you can actually stack them. Like, that's how mobile they are. You can actually stack them into like a single brick. I think they make really really detailed watches. I just haven't seen one that speaks to me enough to buy one. I don't think they're bad watches. I think, I don't want to say they're bland. They're just, if you're looking for a sporty looking solid watch that is a micro brand, then yeah, I think they make good watches.
Well, here's the thing. I've only heard excellent things about them. Now, I am going to call them bland because I find them boring as hell. But at the same time, I heard the quality is great. I just think they had a huge amount of balls to like start a micro brand and like at the price point where they were charging.
Right. Yeah, they went full bore. But I think if you really take it to that level, but then also put the work behind it, like they did, it'll work out, and it has worked out. I know numerous people in my little community on Instagram have a Monta and they love it. So only good things to say about them.
Yeah, I might jump on the train eventually. It's just none of them kind of appeal to me right now.
Right. Agreed.
This is a Jory Goodman special. This question's for you, brother.
Uh-oh.
Daniel Wan. Hublot certainly has to be there with low bang for the buck. What do you think, dude?
Yeah, but here's the deal. Absolutely yes. But I thought that this episode was more for like watches that aren't worth the money. I didn't know that this was going to be like watches that I am totally repulsed by. Because like I could go on a freaking tirade right now. I almost dropped an F-bomb on your channel. I'm sorry. That's what Hublot brings out from me, guys, or F-bombs. They charge so much for watches that honestly, some have very interesting engineering in them. But the package, and I don't mean the watch box and stuff, I mean the watch design itself is so gaudy and it's repulsive. Like, I don't know any other word. It's repulsive.
Listen, I totally respect that, and full disclosure, I'm not a Hublot lover. I have owned a Big Bang well back in the day. Dude, I totally get where you're coming from, but I also think that at least they designed something different. Like if you want a Hublot and you love that design, then you're going to pay for a Hublot. There's no alternative. I mean, some people might say an AP is an alternative, but not really. You know what I mean?
If you want the riveted bezel, if you want like the kind of industrial bezel, then maybe.
Yeah, but Hublot is still different. Like, it just doesn't look.
It's disgusting, man. That's me personally. And again, guys, if you guys love it, then go crazy. But yeah, not.
By the way, is it my turn or your turn?
It could be my turn. I think, yeah, because you brought up the Calatrava. So I'll. Now I brought this up. The next choice of mine. I brought this up in a previous live stream with Federico, I believe on this channel, on Federico's channel. My next pick is going to be, and you guys knew I would say this, a tag. Okay, it's going to be a tag, and it's going to be the Aqua Timer or whatever, Aqua Racer. Aqua Racer, my bad. And people, I know they're already. Here's the deal, guys. When Fed's on my channel, all of my viewers are quite nice to him. When I'm on this channel, I get torn apart in the comment section. So I know people are going to be like, oh, he's going to complain about tag and he doesn't even know the freaking name of the watch. Okay, the Aqua Racer, the Quartz Aqua Racer. It's way too much money for what it is. Does not have an impressive quartz movement. And yeah, they charge sometimes $1,500 for it. No thanks. No thanks.
Dude, you know what? I'm 100% agreeing with you. Yeah, I know last episode we did, like, that was planned, right? I mean, you were bashing tag and I was playing devil's advocate. That was part of the episode, you know, to give a balanced opinion. But ultimately, dude, I don't think there's any disagreeing with you on a quartz Aqua Racer or even an automatic Aqua Racer.
I just don't think, and it's so funny when I've been honest and told people I've never owned a tag. I'm not a tag warrior guy. People are like, oh, you've never owned one, but you're going to complain about it? Well, it doesn't mean I've never seen one or I've never held one or I've never worn one. I've been around watches, guys. Listen, I meet people that have these watches, okay, because Tag's marketing is on point. And it's just never, I want it to impress me. I want to gain, I want to respect them. But it's always really disappointing. The bracelets feel tinny. Bezel is disgusting. It's just, yeah, it's just.
Oh man, I hate to cut you off, but there's a comment here, and I didn't even think about putting this in my list, but I'm gonna add it real quick.
Do it.
Bremont. All right, let me start off by saying,
brace yourself, guys. Brace yourself. Fed's gonna explode right now.
Dude, they make some very cool watches. They make some very well-made watches. And I've made a whole video about this. So guys, search Federico Bremont. But when a company has the balls to charge 13 grand for a 7750 because it's got a piece of World War II airplane in it, making it limited edition, I weep for the watch industry. Everything that's wrong with the watch industry are these jokers charging 13 grand for a watch movement that could be had in a $700 watch. Now you guys are going to say, yeah, but what about IWC? 7 grand for the Portuguese. You know what? At least IWC modified it, took out the secondhand, changed regulation system, and they're IWC. This is Bremont. 13 grand. No, dude, I lost my shit when I made that video. That really made me angry.
Yeah, Bremont has some very, very loyal fans, though. You got to be careful talking about Bremont. I mentioned that they're overpriced in one of my own videos. Woo! Did people get angry at me?
Oh no, there was a YouTuber, a really nice guy, Charles Wallingford, made a video about it, disagreeing with me, and that's fine. And as I said, Bremont makes some genuinely good watches. But if you paid 13 grand for a 7750, you might as well take 13 grand, light it on fire, piss on it, and that's the same value you got for that watch.
Well, let me amend that. Take $700 out and set it aside. I'll give them that and then piss on the rest.
Dude, it's just, I don't know, man. Listen, yes, the Portuguese jewelry, I know 7 grand for the same movement, but there's differences there.
Hear me out. You can actually get the Portuguese a lot cheaper. What upsets me about the Portuguese, and I've spoken to you about this on my channel, Fed, is that when they decided to do the yacht club, the yacht club Portuguese, where it's like they added crown guards and they added a 10-meter water resistance rating, so it brought it up to like 60. Or something, something stupid. But it's like we added a little bit more water resistance and some crown guards, and this is the yacht club version. So we're gonna charge you like 8 grand for this. Dude, that is hilarious.
But Jory, 10 meters water resistance extra. That's gotta be a lot.
Dude, I don't know if you get this, Fed, but when I mention water resistance ratings on a watch review or whatever, or a watch recommendation video, people will be like, oh, I bet you've never why do you care if it's not 100 meters? Have you ever dived down to 100 meters? No, dude. Like, a lot of people haven't. that's not why.
Dude, my whole Panerai video, they're like, 30 meters, your fat ass has never been under 30 meters. I'm like, that's not the point.
Right.
Not the point. You know, but it is what it is. But anyway, Bremont, I like Nick and Giles English, but whichever of you two decided on that price point, if I ever meet you, you're getting a swift kick in the nuts. And then I'll shake your hand.
Heck yeah.
Okay, so here's one. Okay, here's one, and I'm going to be careful choosing my words because you're going to disagree with me, probably, but I want you to understand where I'm coming from. And it's not a watch, it's a category. And the category is vintage watches. I am always underwhelmed by vintage watches. I always, not always, but I very often think they're not worth the money. And yes, some of them are super cool and some of them are totally worth it. But I think the vintage market nowadays is so inflated, particularly chronographs and dial.
I saw your Chrono 24 video. I saw it, Fed. I watched it, Fed. I watched Federico Talks Watches, Fed. I watched Federico Talks Watches, okay?
Dude, I watched the Time Teller. That's how you ended up on my channel, you asshole. But yeah, Jory, I mean, you tell me. I mean, sometimes I see these beautiful vintage watches. Let's take an example, like a vintage Patek, like not even a Patek, a vintage Omega. You know, some dealers selling it for, I don't know, $2,000.
Right.
And the thing is, snap-on case back. It's flimsy as hell. It needs a service. Like $2,000 gets you so much nowadays.
Right. So you actually, it's funny, choosing a vintage Omega as a example was a very interesting example because I always recommend if people are trying, if a watch enthusiast is trying to get into the vintage game, or they're trying to maybe get their first like Swiss watch, I tell them, you know, vintage Omegas you can actually get easily under $1,000. Just be smart, and I give them tips. And you know, as always, and I'm sure you do, you can shoot us both a question, and we'll be happy to answer it for you and take a look at what you're looking at. But it's funny because I've gotten a lot of DMs on Instagram of people being like, "Yo, I'm at this boutique somewhere." Obviously not an Omega boutique, but they're at some watch place, and they're selling, you know, an old. It's not even a jumbo. It's just some old Omega, and they're selling it because it has the Omega on the dial for like over $1,000. And I'm sitting there with my jaw open because it's very apparent that like the Omega logo has been redone and like the crown is aftermarket and this and that and this and that. But yeah, because it says Omega on the dial, these idiot sellers will up the price. But it's so funny because I think in general, I agree with you that the vintage market has become inflated.
Jory, I think I lost you.
Am I here?
You're here.
Okay, sorry. We could do a whole episode on chronographs and why the prices are skyrocketing on those. But depending on, if you're smart and you take your time, you can actually find some incredible deals out there.
No, you absolutely can. And the thing that annoys me is 10 years ago, those deals were everywhere. But the prices that vintage have hit now, in my opinion, is astronomical. And a lot of guys in the comments are saying like, uh-oh, someone's calling out T&H. You know, listen, Christian and I are really good friends. And we talk about this all the time. Now, there's some value to vintage. And what I'm talking about here is not factual. This is just my opinion. You know, a lot of guys think it is worth that stuff, but that it is worth that price. But to me, I don't know, man. It's not a lot of substance, and I'm just being honest.
So, for instance, this is a really hard thing to explain, and I remember having a conversation with I forgot who it was, but this person was not a watch enthusiast at all. It could have been one of my sisters that I was talking to, but I know, right? On my Submariner, on my 16800, the pip has gotten that kind of egg yolk color.
That's beautiful.
Right, and I'm waiting. The patina on the indexes, it's cream, but I'm waiting it. I told them I'm waiting it to get even more of like that eggnog color, a little darker, because then it'll be perfect. And I remember them being like, "Why do you want that? Like, why do you want it to look like that?" And I was like, "Oh, it's much more desirable like that. It just looks beautiful." And they were like, "Why though?" And then I started thinking like, yeah, tropical dials, like why are those more money? And then I was like, these heavily patinaed, 1980s Submariners, why are they actually more expensive? It made me really think, and I realized that like, are they actually worth this money because they've aged a certain way? And I don't know, maybe a different topic, but
they're worth it because the market says they are.
Right.
But to me, like, I own a Hulk, and I own a 16610, which is the pre-ceramic sub. Now, the pre-ceramic sub, listen, it's got a ton of personality. I've said it in a lot of videos. I love the way it wears. I love the look of the aluminum. I prefer the non-super case. But it's a much worse watch.
Right.
Like, as far as a watch goes, it's inferior in every aspect, apart from maybe charm, and charm is intangible.
Right, that's what I'm saying. There are some of these things that are not easily explained because they're just kind of out there.
Yeah, I guess it's the unique factor. It's the unique factor that makes them so expensive. But yeah, man, we just creeped over the half-hour mark. Guys, I know last week we missed a live stream. That was not Jory's fault. I was away in Spain at a wedding, and I texted Jory. Unfortunately, we have to cancel. But dude, we're gonna be on your channel next week, right?
Absolutely.
So guys, go check out The Time Teller, funniest watch guy on YouTube. Link in the description below. Click on his channel. Go subscribe, and hopefully we'll have some more riveting discussion for you guys next week, Thursday, 3 p.m. Eastern.
Awesome, guys. Thanks so much for having me, Federico. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. And guys, thank you all for joining us, and we'll catch you in the next one. Take care.